So the Senate has decided to confirm Kash Patel as Trump's FBI director. This is something that obviously we here at Timcast are very happy about, being that Kash Patel has been on the show multiple times. We consider him a friend of the show. But CNN is reporting the Senate voted on Thursday to confirm Kash Patel as FBI director, installing a staunch loyalist of President Donald Trump and conservative firebrand at the head of the nation's top law enforcement agency. The Senate voted 51-49 to confirm Patel, with Republican Senators Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski joining with Democrats in voting against his confirmation, which should come as a surprise to no one. Both Collins and Murkowski are from purple districts, I think is a safe way to say, but they're also very independent minded. So maybe they're even if they're not specifically Democrat leaning, they're definitely independent, and they have their own opinions. I think that around the table, we're all generally pro Kash Patel. We like the idea of making changes in the bureaucracy, and the FBI has had significant political bias in the past, definitely 4 years, probably longer if you want to go back to the IRS targeting. Well, that's the IRS doing it, but the IRS should have been investigated by the FBI, exactly. And it was the Eric Holder, the AG, declined to investigate the IRS targeting of conservatives. But what do you guys think? Do you guys have a fresh perspective on Kash Patel, or is it kind of?
Nah, honestly, I'm loving it. I'm loving the change in D.C. I'm loving the fact that Democrats are getting exactly what they caused. They think that politics happens in a vacuum. I can't believe Donald Trump would ever appoint someone like Kash Patel. And I'm sitting back here thinking to myself, if you guys hadn't acted the way you did over the last decade, you wouldn't have gotten many of these nominees. But if Donald Trump has shown one thing, it's that the harder you push against him, the harder he's going to push back. And Kash Patel is I would say, the strongest force forward for Donald Trump. And I can't wait to see what he puts out first, what he thinks is the most important. Is it Epstein? Is it Diddy? Is it all this stuff? I want to know about the aliens.
Did you know he's a Long Island boy?
He is when you want something done right, you get a guy from Long Island. You get a guy from Garden City. Shout out to Kash Patel.
Right, I'm not touching that one. But so I know that there is a lot of people that are like, oh, the Epstein list. They're very interested in that. They're interested in the JFK files. They're interested in possibly in UFO stuff, but I'm not sure that the FBI would have info on the UFO stuff. Do you guys get the sense that that's the stuff that's going to have the most impact on Americans generally? I understand that there are people that are extremely interested in this stuff, and there are people that want to see if you go to Epstein Island and you rape kids, I know a lot of people are like, yeah, we want to see these people punished, right? And absolutely, I'm not in any way saying that that's not a valuable use of government resources. But when you hear people talk about, Epstein Island or the JFK files, do those things actually have the most tangible effect on an American's day-to-day life, or do you think that there are other things? Because it's my sense that the FBI's biggest, or the things that the FBI have done that are the most egregious, are when they were targeting people that prey outside of abortion clinics, or when they were targeting parents that were going to school, teacher meetings and saying that they're likely terrorists because they're worried about what their children are being taught. When they were targeting J6ers that were, granted, there were J6ers that did things that maybe they should have been looked into, but most of the vast majority of the people that were arrested and had charges, those people were doing things that are constitutionally protected, and the FBI were picking those people. I feel like those kind of things are the real, tangible, important things that the FBI needs to be. I guess there needs to be changes at the FBI because of those things. Again, it's not that I don't think that Epstein Island stuff is important, but that's not going to have tangible effects on real normal Americans. That's going to be the stuff that is feel good for partisans. And
it's the flashy stuff.
Yeah,
that's the big stuff. But so much of what Kash Patel could do is less. He could do less of what was being done. He could do less of the school board. I mean, we did a lot of work on school boards on Long Island, and just to know that there were people out there from the FBI checking people's license plates because overzealous PTA moms yelled at people over masks and over curriculum, that's terrifying to me, particularly when, look, there are bad people in this country. There are, and they should be going after those people. They should be going after the people distributing bad stuff online, we'll say. You can take that however you want. There's so much stuff that they could be doing. Just revert that. And I think that's what Kash has talked a lot about, putting them out in the field and making them actual cops again, arresting actual bad guys.
Phil, I think you're right that it's hyper-partisan to appeal to, like, we're going to uncover who's on the Epstein flight logs and we're going to tell you about Diddy, like what's on the Diddy tapes. Like that's hyper-partisan, but it's also chronically online. Like normies don't think or care about those things. Yeah. So I agree with you on that. And something I've noticed, I think ever since the election, is that there's been a lot more reporting on school shootings and school shooting plots. Not only ones that ended up being executed, but ones that were stopped. There was a recent one, I forget which state, but there was a plot by yet another trans-identifying teenager to shoot up a school. And this is what you hear every time that headline comes out, is like the FBI was aware of this person and foiled the plot. But perhaps they were responsible for grooming that person in the first place into incriminating themselves.
Can you expand on that? Would you go and articulate what you mean by grooming? Do you think that the FBI is actually involved in trying to...
I mean, they're interested in convicting people, and to do that, I think they want to get into contact with these people online and probably radicalize them, but also get them to say incriminating things so that they can, stop the crime that they were planning, which they never would have planned in the first place had it not been for the influence of federal agents who were contacting them.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that's
and
happened.
Also offering to supply them with illegal firearms.
Well, we saw that at things like Ruby Ridge. We saw that at the Gretchen Whitmer plot, where 9 out of the 12 guys were FBI agents. Mm-hmm. So if they spent a little bit more time, even if we're not talking nefarious, known to the FBI. All right, well, then maybe you should put 3 people on them and leave the school boards alone, and then maybe we could foil those plots. Maybe we could get those obviously very sick kids help before the plot gets, brought into fruition. And it's I just feel like the allocation of the resources of the FBI have been so used in the wrong way.
Can they stop infiltrating right-wing groups? They're obsessed with it.
Can they or will they? I mean,
will they, now that Kash Patel is in charge? I don't know.
So in response to that, there's something that I've been mentioning on the show lately, and that's that we kind of live in a milieu of leftism, right? And that the air that we breathe is steeped in leftist ideology. And when you hear, the left is infiltrating right-wing organizations, the knee-jerk idea of right-wing, for normies at least, is bad. Mm-hmm. Right? There's an association of right is evil, and I think that if we do see a change at the FBI in that kind of demeanor, I think that would be a very good thing for the United States. I mean, an organization like Oath Keepers, unless they've actually done something, the only thing they're saying is we're going to keep our oath to the Constitution. The whole premise is we're going to abide by the law. And so to conflate that with knee-jerk evil, or even the left has managed to make a significant portion of the United States associate the word patriot with something negative.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's so, we've been talking a lot about this over the last several weeks, not only with the FBI, but with all the nonprofit stuff that goes on. Organizations like the ACLU, organizations like the Southern Poverty Law Center. I'm on a Southern Poverty Law Center list. And to me, I'm just like, I don't know what I did to get on it. I don't know why I'm on it, but I've been denied jobs because of this stuff. Yeah, it's wild. When somebody first sent it to me, it was literally over the school board stuff. That's exactly what it was. So I want to know. I know Josh Hawley has talked about this with the SPLC, figuring out where they're getting their funding from, who's paying for this, how much of it's coming from a for example, a USAID that gets funneled through a nonprofit that goes to an NGO that goes to another nonprofit. That stuff, if the FBI was really going to look into that, figuring out why it is that a nonprofit tied to Stacey Abrams somehow got $2 billion. If the FBI wanted to investigate those sorts of financial crimes, I think that would go a long way in stopping that machine that you're talking about from just equating right wing with bad. No matter what. I mean, the way they smear people, just, oh, he's on the right, like a Rogan or Tim or anybody. And it's like, no, they're not. Like, not traditionally. Not Mike Pence would not think anybody in this room is on the right. George Bush wouldn't think any of us are on the right. But sure enough, we all...
He might.
Maybe.
Elaad's on the right. Clearly. And the argument that I make that I have been making is because of the fact that we're so steeped in leftism. Anyone that's not left is immediately associated with the right. So that's why the discourse between Elon Musk about Elon Musk and Ashley St. Clair and stuff. People can have their opinions about that situation, but they're considered right wing. And then the conservative right was like, well, these people shouldn't be right. And it's like, well, they're not really right. They're actually center. They're not right leaning. It's just that we live in a milieu of leftism, and because of that, anyone not left gets associated with the right.
Well, you said that the other day, that there's a difference between right wing and not left.
Yeah,
and I think the not left is a lot of people. A lot of people come on this show who just go, you know what? I don't know what that is, but I don't want anything to do with that. So this is my only option.
Are you going to say something?
Well, my point is that it's not the left infiltrating those right wing groups, or even groups that are unequivocally like identified as neo-Nazi groups. It is the FBI. And the way I see it, the FBI has been engaged in criminal behavior against the American people. So they're not going to investigate themselves. They're not going to incriminate themselves. They're only out to incriminate civilians and get civilians to incriminate themselves. They want convictions.
And I don't disagree with that, but if we do live in a milieu of leftism, just the FBI saying, oh, we're going to investigate, that means that it is kind of the left investigating, isn't it?
I don't know.
Didn't you say?
I mean,
because if the
this is now an arm of the Trump administration.
Well, now, yes, but I'm referring to like pre-Kash Patel,
Oh yeah.
Before.
Oh, definitely. Then it was the left being investigated. It was the left investigating the right. When you had guys like Eric Holder say that he was Barack Obama's wingman, and now this CNN article, loyalist to Trump. I'm sitting there going, where were you? And that's why you talk about the milieu, and it's so watching it change in real time over the course of the last month. No leader on the left. They are completely listless. They have no idea which way is up, and that's why we're getting some of the most ridiculous things ever, like Margaret Brennan saying that free speech was used to start a genocide. And I'm like, what high school textbook did you read? Because you could go back to 6th grade, but because they have existed so long as the norm when they are actually the far left, they can't see that they are losing the world to the center.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.